What is up, guys, and welcome to the special interview of Guarani Vision, the first ever podcast dedicated to Paraguayan football in English. As always, I'm Roberto Rojas, and joining me are my two great co-hosts, Maria Britos and Fede Perez. And today we have a special guest. We have Romina Mendoza Murto, a TV presenter based in Paraguay, to talk about, obviously, everything that's going on in the world of football in Paraguay, talk a bit more into some of the stuff that maybe not a lot of people like to obviously speak about, but more of a cool perspective from it. You know, we always like to talk about things that are going on with like football, like on the pitch, but maybe we want to go a bit more towards Romina, because certainly as we are here at Guarani Vision, we always like to give a lot of people the chance to speak about everything that's going on in English, talking about Paraguay. And what better way to get someone like Romina here to speak about it? Obviously, she's had her experience working at Hen currently and at other places. So Romina, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And then I guess I'll get you started here about, kind of your beginnings, what made you want to take this profession of wanting to be a presenter, wanting to work in journalism. You said before we got on the air that you are studying currently to become like a professional journalist in college. I mean, what kind of got you that inspiration? Who were some of the people that you were thinking like, yeah, I want to be like them, and that's the career that I wanted to have?
Yes, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited. At first, I thought with all the timing, we're scheduling and things, I was just like so nervous, but I'm so glad we got to this point. So I'm excited. And when it comes to my beginnings, I guess in the journalism, actually, it's such a big coincidence because my mom was a journalist. The only difference is that she was a journalist for society pages here in Paraguay. She was like the first person that ever brought that to Paraguay. I don't know if you guys remember it, Sociales in ABC Color, and so it was like a big thing when she first started. And I grew up, in ABC Color, in La Redacción, just like watching her do her work. And I guess I've always been so inspired by her. And actually, she passed away a year ago. So in my work, I feel like nowadays I feel much more connected to her and to this line of work. And I think that the reason I'm so passionate, I guess, about it is that I like to have the chance to speak up. I've always been that kind of girl, and growing up in Paraguay and in the school I went to, I guess those are just like my values. So I'm glad to be able to do that as a professional career, if that makes sense.
No, that's a good thing. That's actually, I have a follow-up here, Fede, before you go to your question. I guess, it's certainly something that, all of us have really ventured ourselves, all of us, like myself, Maria, Fede, we all have journalistic roots, and we have some of that connection. We always want to obviously represent Paraguay in a way that it could be abroad, it could be at home or whatever. So I think it's an important thing to have kind of that inspiration for you, for your mother, that became that inspiration is a big thing. I wanted to switch gears now to obviously the football aspect, because this is obviously a football podcast. I mean, what are some of your first memories being a football fan? Do you have a team that you support? Is there obviously like some memories that you've had? Maybe you played beforehand. I mean, what was been your connection to football, which is obviously a big deal over there in Paraguay?
Yes, I'm gonna be completely honest. When it comes to football, the only thing I ever cared about was Roja. I do not have a soccer club. Like I don't follow Cerro, Libertad, Olimpia. Like I'm not like that. But Roja, it's all I ever care about. My first memory, I think like the most vivid one is 2010 Mundial Sudáfrica. Being able to see Aldo Valdés, Justo Villar. The passion was like so there, so, a ver, como, ¿cómo se dice? A brote de piel. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so there for
Goosebumps,
all
goosebumps, goosebumps.
goosebumps, exactly, pity. And yeah, that's my first memory. And I think, I'm gonna give you guys a fun fact. The reason I came to sports journalism was pretty much a coincidence, because when I first started, I sent my CV, my curriculum to Gen, because I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be on La Nación, be able to write columns, the deal. But when I sent my CV, they asked to do a screen test, in the interview. So that's how I ended up working in sports journalism, because there was an opportunity. I never thought I would end up doing sports because it's not something I grew up with. It's not like a family thing. You know, like a lot of Paraguayan families sit down on Sundays, you know, and watch soccer and like, you know, comer el asado and stuff like that. But we never did that at home. So it's something I'm learning day by day, and I'm so excited by it. Yes.
I love that enthusiasm, Romy. You know, just getting into this football world here in Paraguay, and she's talking about Ken, and obviously we got to tell people that are listening to us, Ken has the rights to broadcast the national team games here in Paraguay. So obviously she's got that access that I don't have personally to the locker room, to the players. She's always around there. That's why we wanted to have her also here on the show. But I've seen her getting people's reactions, obviously, before the games and after the games. And we're always talking about the people's mood here in Paraguay, Romy. Why? Because we haven't been to the last World Cup. So people, you know, sometimes they're angry. When we win, they go crazy. How have you seen the fans here in Paraguay, you know, go through these last years between not going through the World Cup and maybe this last win against Bolivia that finally we won a game?
Yes, you know, people went crazy over here because of the last game, especially because we got annulled, like 2 goals, remember? So it was like a whole thing. Everyone was like so mad, but at the same time, we were all happy because it was the first goal of the season, right? So, but yeah, I feel like people are way too passionate sometimes over here, you know? But it's something, it's like the beauty of football, I guess, when it comes to Paraguay. But yes, there is a lot of hope of Paraguay, you know, returning to the World Cup finally, and hopefully it's our year. I don't know. I think like the team can be a bit unstable at times, but the hope is there.
Well, I was listening to your memories, and you started there talking about 2010. I don't know if you have memories before that. You're very young. I think you're just around your 20s. I don't know how far back you go with your memories. Like if I say a Chile Verde, I don't know if you ever saw him in action. Who was your favorite player growing up? You said Nelson Aelo Valdez. Was he your favorite player growing up, and why? Obviously, tell everybody who your favorite player was.
Yes, yes. The first memory I can think of is the 2012 World Cup, and my favorite player was Justo Villar. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was because I thought he was like very cute. Until this day, I think that yeah, I stand by it. He's so cute. I always looked at the the cute players. Which one is the Roque Santa Cruz? Come on, like I'm just a girl.
I gotta link that to another question. Then, who's the cutest player on this national team, and who's the
Ramon
coolest
Sosa.
player
Spill
also?
the tea.
Ramon
Spill the
Sosa.
tea.
Ramon Sosa. I'm in love with Ramon Sosa.
Do you think she's the favorite one? You think he's the favorite one between women? Do you think like women have him as a reference right
No,
now in the national team, or is that just you saying no? I think Ramon Sosa is
no,
the
I
cutest one.
think that's just me. I think the favorite one, like to all the girls, is probably Diego Gomez. Diego Gomez,
Yeah, Gomez.
Gomez, perhaps. Or ¿sabes qué?
Right.
Roque Santa Cruz. It's always gonna be Roque Santa
It's still
Cruz.
rugged. It's still rugged. It's gonna be
Maria,
hard to
Maria,
beat him.
please. Maria, please say something, please.
I totally support you there, Robina. I grew up with Santa Cruz, and me and my tias were always, cheering him on because we thought saying, he's the cutest in the team. So yes, Santa Cruz all the way. But
Wow.
Romy, I wanted to ask you, with our team now, our current team, we always have talks about the star player and who should be shining brighter and who should step up for the big games, and usually we talk about Miguel Almiron. What do you think about him, and what do you think that he should be doing in the next few games? Should he be putting up a better performance, or should he be acting more as a captain? What are your thoughts?
I think Miguel Almiron is probably one of the greatest players that came from this last team of players. I don't even know how to say it, like la última camada de jugadores. I think he's
Generation.
definitely,
Generational
yeah.
player.
Him and also Enciso. I think the start, however, I think the start of the last few matches has been Ramon Sosa. I think he has shown to be like a great player, and I think a lot of people maybe didn't know him before this last round of matches. Could be mistaken, but I think right now, the Ramon Sosa fever is like contagious. That's so corny. So corny. Such a corny thing to say, but you get what I'm saying. However, I do think he's in some kind of way lacking El Albirroja. I'm not really sure why. I think it's something that relates more to the team itself instead of just, being focused on Miguel Almiron. At least that is my opinion. I think that at times we're lacking harmony when it comes to the LDT, like the technical part of the match instead of just like singling out specific players, if that makes sense.
Totally. We're always talking about this too, because the mood in the team has always been well, this last couple of games has been kind of, we noticed, a little bit down. So, what have you seen in this team now in terms of the mood and like especially the last few games and well, we won the last game, but the other two that we weren't able to win.
Yes, I think that even though the mood is not like bad, it's not like we have a bad team. I think that at times we're like used to that Garra Guarani, like that team that was like on the 2010 Mundial Sudáfrica. I think that it was like something out of this world, and it's something that at times we're like kind of used to. And right now we don't see the players like mojando la camiseta, or at least that's how people think, like when we're talking about the popular opinion, and I think that at times can cause a lot of rage and a lot of resentment towards the players. Thank God it has not come to like a very dangerous stage, because how people get here, and especially in los clásicos, people are very aggressive, tend to so I'm glad that hasn't happened, but at the same time, I don't think we're there. We haven't gotten to that point, but at the same time, we're not like that albirroja that we're like so used to. So yeah, but I think we're doing great at the same time. That is why I get so confused, because like I said, I work on sports. So sometimes I watch a game and I'm like, oh my God, that was our greatest game of all time. I'm so excited. Such a fun game. And then I go to I go to work, and my colleagues are like, okay, that was I'm sorry, I cannot cuss here, right?
You could
Okay,
say whatever you want. You could say
okay.
whatever.
That was a shit game. That was the worst game we have ever had, and I'm like, not really. I mean, I wouldn't say the worst. So, like I said, I'm still learning when it comes to football, but that's my humble opinion.
Let me get one more, Romy. I wanted to ask you, because since Garnero took over, and I was looking at this last list, we have Ivan Leguizamón, Juan Cáceres. These are players that play in Argentina, and most of their lives they've done in Argentina. Gaston Jimenez is another one. And a lot of people look at them differently here because they weren't born here, they weren't raised up here. I don't know if you kind of feel that situation also. Now that we have, again, an Argentinian coach, he's doing the same thing. He's calling players that weren't born here, that weren't raised here. Do you think that goes against them in the sense that people are always criticizing them differently, that they're going up against them differently? How do you think people see them from here?
I think that especially when it comes to Argentinians, we're always gonna look at them different. I think it's something that is like more of a cultural thing when it comes to the popular opinion. However, I don't think that goes against us particularly, because I feel like those players you just mentioned, they have a very distinct type of control on the ball, if that makes sense. Argentinians play different, even though like we like to say they do not. I think that is something that really adds up to our team, if that makes sense. Of course, I'm not saying that we should pick them as favorites. Of course not. But I think they do have their pluses. They do add up to our team at the end of the day.
I think it's a very interesting thing to go into. And, as someone who has been kind of, I wanted to go away from the team itself and look at the fans, because I think, we as, fans of soccer, football, whatever it may be, we're so accustomed in South America of how passionate the Brazilians are, the Argentine, Uruguay, whatever. And for Paraguay, those fans, you don't know what it's like. It's a whole different scenario. And yeah, I think not making it to a World Cup kind of degraded a bit of that. But like from what you've been able to see, it could be from your friends, from people of this kind of generation. How do you assess like these fans, be it of a club, national team, whatever? Do you feel as if though maybe people are losing that kind of faith, that they're maybe not as interested anymore? I mean, it's hard to say that, and it's even even unthinkable to think that, but just like from our generation, from those that are more younger, let's say younger than 25 or something, is that something that you feel is seeing that just because the national team is not doing well?
You know what? I think that our relationship with Albirroja, it's like, remember that passage from the Bible? Why am I talking about that? But remember El Hijo Pródigo? Like you hate him, you hate him, you hate him, but then when he comes back, you're like, I love you, and I'm gonna give you everything. Yeah, I believe that pretty much sums up our relationship with Albirroja.
Basically a
Because
bad ex. It's basically a
yeah,
bad ex. Is that what you're saying? Like a toxic ex-boyfriend or
yeah,
something?
I mean, kind of. We literally saw it like a couple matches ago. We weren't like scoring any goals, and everyone was like, I hate you, Albirroja. I'm not gonna watch any games ever again." But then the match with Bolivia, everyone was watching. Everyone screamed the goals. So like, and right now we're like completely. I mean, I wouldn't say completely in love again, but we're like on a road, and I feel like we're never gonna turn our backs to Albirroja. When it comes to clubs, you've seen the case of Olympia this year. Like Olympia has not been playing the greatest, season. And when it comes to, fans, I mean, you've seen the news. People are not happy. So I feel like when it comes to clubs, yeah, it could be different. But when it comes to Albirroja, no. Albirroja, I don't know. It's like our toxic ex-boyfriend we don't want to break up with ever. Yes.
It feels as if though the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, Fede, I mean, you're obviously much more older than us, and you have this understanding, and also you have Argentine blood too. Is that kind of
Damn, what was
exact?
that?
Yeah,
You're
look
off.
at that.
That was
What was that?
unnecessary. I'm gonna say, yeah, yeah.
I know, but we're here to enjoy. I have American blood too, so I can't exactly go and choose
I
my
was talking
side.
about the age thing, but
No, but honestly, it's like that. It's like, we want this team to do well, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're an Olympia set or a Libertad fan, whatever. It's like, you want this team to do well, and yeah, we have every right to feel pissed off when they play badly and happy when they do well as well.
well, we're not qualified for 2026 yet, but there are a lot more spots, and we're on our way. But I'm thinking of 2030. Well, why not think a little bit more ahead, Romy? What do you think about that news? How did you assess it? How did you take it? How have you seen people around you take the news that Paraguay is going to have a World Cup in 2030? I mean, I still can't get my head around the situation. I don't know what's going to happen in the city, in the country. It looks like just too much for us. I don't know how you feel about it.
Uh, it's actually so funny because when the news first came out, we were all like, "That's so random. Like, what? What do you mean we're gonna be, hosting anything in this country? Like, really? You know how it is. I mean, it doesn't make sense. However, we are of course very happy. Uh, but I guess what really, what kind of makes us nervous is the fact that we don't have any information on anything yet. So we're thinking like, okay, what's gonna happen? Which stadium are we gonna use for like anything? A lot of people were talking about building a new stadium. So it's just like a big mess, everything that goes into that. However, I mean, I think we're very excited. It's a very at the end of the day, it's very important opportunity. I think in the same way Odesur was, but like multiply for like 1,000. So hopefully, I don't know, everything works out. But there's not much I can say about that because, like I said, there isn't much information on the topic. But I mean, if it is true, I mean, it is true. But if everything works out, and if we get the chance to go to the World Cup that year, then thumbs up. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, the first one we have to think about is coming here to the United States, Mexico, and Canada. That's the one we want to focus on. All good about 2030. That's good, but I want to see us
Yes.
of course I'm obnoxious. I might feel a bit, and even Maria as well could feel a bit biased, but we're Americans here and we want to see Paraguay play in a World Cup. I mean, why not, Maria? Come on. You want to see that happen. We've had Copa Americas before and all that, but no, a World Cup is way different if we get Paraguay in that.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a chance to have them in our backyard, or even if I'm from Miami, so even if they come play here in Miami in the Hard Rock Stadium, that will be like the greatest gift that God can give us. But yeah, Romy, I wanted to ask you just one more question. How do you see the team in the next two games that they have coming up? They have pretty tough opponents. Chile, they've been going through a rough patch, but they're still always a good match to play against. And then Colombia, who we always, play a good game against, and they seem to be a pretty good team this year. What are your thoughts?
I'm such a big believer of Mufa. So I hate when people ask me this type of questions, because I honestly feel like if I say it's gonna win, it's gonna lose. So I'm not gonna say that, but I really do think we have like two big challenges. Colombia, first of all, oh my God, it's gonna be a tough game, a tough match. Same thing goes to Chile. So I mean, what can I say? I feel like we're all very nervous. We all want, of course, we all want to win. But I think it's gonna be harder with Colombia than with Chile. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be tough. I mean, with Chile, we even though they're doing so
Yeah,
bad,
they're both good.
they are, and they both want
Same with
to
Colombia.
go to the World Cup too. So it's not just a case of like saying, oh, it's Argentina, it's Brazil, so it's gonna be hard. No, they want to go there too, and they're playing and we're playing first in Chile, and then we're playing at home in Colombia, and sorry, against Colombia at home. So
Yeah.
the good thing about that is, depending on what happens in the first game, will depend. And Romy, this goes to you as well, like the vibe, because obviously, you working at the channel, you're gonna deal with a lot of these fans. You could deal with a fan base that's either going to be very happy that they beat Chile and are going on a high, or they're going to feel a bit more nervous and pissed off because they lost the first game and now they're at home, the bigger obligation. It's like you don't know what could happen. It's not really a win-win in that way, because it's just that's how the team is working right now.
Yeah, and actually, it affects everything. Like I remember the first match that was versus Peru in Ciudad del Este. That stadium was like almost full. A lot of people went to watch the match. However, the last match that was against Bolivia, no, that it wasn't like the stadium wasn't sold out, and the people weren't like going out on the streets. A lot of people decided against watching the match. So definitely what you're saying is completely true, not only in the sense that people start to get nervous on the street and like start screaming and making a mess, not really about that, but when it comes to participation. And also, like, people are so mean on social media. Have you guys read anything like from the
All the
last?
time, all the
What is up
time
with
we see it.
I know. I want to say this in Spanish. Can I?
Go for it. I'll translate it. Go for it.
Siempre está la famosa señora paraguaya, ¿verdad? Que se va luego a bajarle la caña a cualquiera en redes sociales de Facebook, en Instagram. Pero esta vuelta se pasaron. ¿Entendés? Tipo, ya había too much hate on the comments. Like, it was just like from another planet. The hate, I'm saying.
Yeah. But what basically, for those that are not understanding, it's like it's different from like basically the hate comes from different people. Like it comes from everyone. It doesn't matter where. It's like, but yeah, it's like that. It's like, Fede, for you too. It's like, are we going to feel like we have a team that's confident enough that we go to every game and like, oh yeah, we're gonna win this? Like, no, it's not that. We just have to build that confidence, and hopefully these two games help us, man.
Yeah, the atmosphere is not well here. The players are feeling it when they can't score. That second half, the crowd goes against them. You feel that in the matches. I think you only turn that around with good results when you start winning. People believe you now. People are a little bit more relaxed. They're not criticizing that much. But you got to win the next 2 games. These are 2 big tests, I believe, for the Albirroja, going up against Chile in Santiago and then facing off Colombia, who has gotten a lot better in these last couple of games. So I'm really looking forward to these challenges. And I do think you need to bring in some young blood. We've always talked about this with Maria also. And I'm liking that we are seeing young players that are just around 20, 21 years old. And I think, we're starting to see that touch from the coach also. A little bit more time for him to work, a little bit more time to see more players. So I think, from here to next year, we might see even more players coming in, new blood, new players. I think the Roja also needs that because we got players that are frustrated. We got players that haven't been able to take us to the World Cup. So we kind of need that change in the locker room too. I think that's important right now.
Romina, I just want to go into kind of that because obviously it's so different for us. We always there's always a stereotype, always from my friends, be it from those that are in South America or even here in the States, like they even talk about Paraguay. It's like, no one's really outspoken. No one's really controversial. It's not like people in England or in France or just an examples like that speak out. Do you feel as if though we're kind of missing that? We're too shy in ourselves that there's no one out there that's outspoken? Yeah, like an example, like Chilaver, he didn't care what happened. Like he didn't care who was against his side or who was for him. He spoke whatever he wanted. Do we feel that maybe in this day and age we just are not capable of that, or is it just something that maybe isn't necessary because in this kind of world that we're living in?
Yes, I completely agree. Actually, I was thinking about the same thing just a couple of days ago. I think it's something that is just like so Paraguayan, it hurts, like the Paraguayan human being is just gonna be shy. It is gonna be shy at first, Kawa. It's not gonna be, it's not gonna want to, speak up and get into, a whole like controversy just to, prove a point. Like it's not our nature. I do think that we can in some kind of way, I mean, it would be a good thing for us if we did it, but we don't do it as often. Not only players, not only the TES, not only also journalists. Like a lot of journalists, sports journalists, do not want to like speak up about specific things because you don't want to get into it at times. With management, the management of the club sometimes, with the same players, sometimes partners of the players. Like it's just like a whole thing, and I think that at times we kind of like shy away from it. I do feel like we should be a bit against, o sea, un poco más against farándula when it comes to sports. I think that is something we can really, it's a change that is necessary for us in media in Paraguay. Alejarse de la farándula when it comes to, football. But at the same time, I feel like our challenge for the next few years should be like speaking up when things are like being a little bit fishy, if that makes sense. When it
Yeah,
comes to
no,
management.
absolutely. It happens everywhere. I mean, there's always gossip out there. I mean, obviously, I'm here, and me and Maria, we're used to kind of this whole gossip type of thing, be it like on TMZ. Like we always see like these athletes always they either they speak out or they're always in the news and stuff. Like it's part of our thing. It's part of our culture, and it can go against you or for you. But in Paraguay, I just feel like it's just there's so much. And Fede, I mean, I'm sure you have many stories of countless players who have probably just gone out because
Yeah, Fede gets it. I can see
terrible.
it on his
Yeah,
face.
like they've had
Like,
like I don't know, they had a good game or something, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna go out and I'm going to the club and get smashed and like get drunk.
But the gossip is out there because the players' personal life is out there also. I mean, they show it everything in their Instagram. It's Paraguay is a small country. We see everybody outside, but you go to a club, you go to a bar, and you're gonna see the players there. And if they're there, they're not behaving. They're not being professional. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. So people are gonna take pictures of them. They're gonna film them, and then they're gonna bring them up on the internet. That's happened here lately in Paraguay. So we kind of know which players are not professional, which ones are sleeping at home when they need to. So yeah, it is something that is always going around here, and it is a talking point right now, especially because we haven't done well in Libertadores. The national team is not doing well either. So when you don't have teams going up against the best teams, and you don't have them going to the last stages of those kind of competitions, you're kind of seeing what happens in the country. And I do think that's why there's so much gossip and very little football talk, like Romina's saying, right? I mean, we should probably talk more about the game than things that go outside of the game. But, the players that just don't behave, Romy, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, very few players have a good reputation here.
Yes, and I think it's so funny because when we're talking about the worst one, I think like we're all thinking about the same the same player. We're all thinking about him.
Same
I
players, or the same
actually
ones.
I wanted to ask something to you. I wanted to ask you guys something. You were talking about bringing young blood into the team, Albirroja, and I was wondering, what do you guys feel about bringing old blood, if that makes sense? Like I'm talking about Tacuara Cardoso. A lot of people want him to be a, en la convocatoria local, but I wanted to ask you guys, how would you feel about Tacuara playing?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, no, because I think his ship has sailed. He's done a lot for this team over the years, but do you trust someone like that? I don't know. I mean, this is a big debate in itself, but honestly, like for me, and I'm a big fan of Tacuara. I've always enjoyed his career. He's had a fantastic career, but I'm just like, guy's 40 years old. Who's gonna play at the top level at 40 for these teams against guys who are flourishing and are better than they are? Like, no, it's like I don't want to call him a grandpa or anything, but it's just that you're dealing with grandpas versus teenagers. Like, nah, man. Like, no, not for
Hey,
me.
but come on, don't be like that, Roberto. Paulo Guerrero is 40 years old and he just played the Sudamericano final
Right,
also. I
but
mean, don't
Pablo
be like
Guerrero,
that.
but he's playing outside of Paraguay too. That's a whole different thing. When you got players in this same league, it's a whole different level, man. Like, I don't like to, I don't want to be rude, but that's just how I feel,
I
man.
don't think age is a factor, but if you got younger players that are doing well in Europe, I think they should be the ones that have the spot. And especially because they got years ahead of them. I mean, Tacuara, how much more can he play? Maybe 1-2 years. So you got to think about long term, I think. And I would bring him in only if you need him. I would bring him in if the other forwards are not scoring, which was what was happening before, right before these last couple of games. Now that you got Tony Sanabria scoring, Gabriel Avalos is looking a little bit better. I don't know, maybe keep them coming in. Alan Barreiro is also a new one. So I don't know if to bring in such a player that's so old, like Roberto's saying, that's going to want to play as a starter also, because you're not just going to have him sitting there in the bench. So it's not an easy thing to handle either in the locker room. So I wouldn't call him. I think if younger players are in a better shape right now, they should have the spot.
I mean,
I think,
Maria, we got better players, to be fair.
yeah,
This is against Tacuara, but it's just we got to move on. We can't just rely on the old guys like we've done before, and just because they're doing so well in Paraguay, it's a whole
right.
different level.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Maybe not to play, but in terms of maybe bringing in a better personality into the team, maybe you can bring in someone like Tacuara to help the players, like teach them and be kind of like a coach. I know he's still playing, but someone like him come in to see the players every now and then, and just give them that kind of like help and just a little bit of a push to be like, guys, when I was in the World Cup, we did this, and when we were trying to get into the World Cup, we were doing this, something like that. And I'm thinking like this because of recently here in the Miami Heat just signed Udonis Haslem, and he was a former player, but he was still as he was still a player, he wasn't really playing in the team, but he was coaching the whole team, playing when there was like when the team was already winning and the last few seconds someone needed to be changed. That kind of help. I think that will kind of help in terms of bringing in someone older. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah,
yeah, and it makes total sense. The only reason I was asking is because a lot of people were asking for him because he had a great season in Libertad, and they were saying, he is still in shape, to play right now. So yeah, I just wanted to know. But in some kind of way, I agree with you guys. I love Tacuara. I feel like I agree that he has had a great season, but at the same time, I do feel like we have the right players. Like the ones that you guys were mentioning. So yeah. Yeah.
It's different standards, I'd say. It's like it's like you're dealing with players that are playing in Europe that are much quicker, faster, more technical. It's like all good, like being good and whatnot in your prime, but it's just like, nah, man. It's like we gotta move on and do that. And speaking of moving on, we do have to obviously close it out in just a bit, but we do have just a few more questions. And Romy, I do want to ask about, some of the work that you'll be doing heading into this game. Obviously, we got the two games in like 2 weeks from now. It's already starting. Time flies by fast. Right by this time, we're already going to be linked into the national team with Chile and Colombia. So, what are your plans for this? If you can say something off the record or whatever, what are the plans for Hen heading into these two games? What are you going to be doing?
Well, first of all, lots of work. Lots of work. You guys do not imagine, like when the Albirroja plays, we work from like 4 to I don't even know, like 1 a.m. Like we work a lot. We really, put everything on the table to help, the channel and the broadcasting for everything to go well. I think my plans for next week, I'm definitely gonna do notas de color, interviewing people before the game, the stadium, and after the game. So yeah, and we actually have a very cute thing planned. I don't know if I can say this actually. I might get fired, but
Better you don't. Better you don't.
right, they're gonna get me a job in ESPN or like whatever. So yeah, it's gonna be
I'll
a
help
fleet.
out. I'll venture you out. I'll vouch for you if that's
So we
happening. But
have,
no.
yeah, we have something very exciting planned. We're gonna do notas de color. Me and another girl that it's at Hen, and she's Colombian. So we're gonna be doing a versus Colombia versus Paraguay, and like asking, interviewing people. It's not really a big deal. I don't know why I made a huge deal out of it.
No,
Before.
it's a big deal because I feel like, I think we are so like, look, we love football as it is. We like to talk about that. But after a while it becomes stale. Like we want to know what's going on outside, like the fans, how they feel. Because they're human beings at the end of the day. It's like you want to hear from the fans who are pissed off because their team lost, or they're gonna be happy because they won. So it's like, nah, man, like just it's good that you're doing that, but no, it's gonna be obviously interesting. Obviously, I'm following it. Maria and I, Fede, obviously doing his work with the radio and everything else that he does. Obviously, we are focused on this, and yeah, I'm excited about this. It's hard to believe it's already
Yes.
November, but we're already going to these are the last two games of the year, and then we got what Copa America, then we got the World Cup qualifiers that won't be till September, so we got a whole 10 months until then. So yeah, this is right now the focus about just focusing on ending the year well. So, and to end it here, I know you say you're a big believer of Mufa. We've had people who said the same thing, but we're gonna put you on the spot, Romina. I'm sorry, we're putting you right on the spot. How do you see these two games against Chile and Colombia happening for Paraguay? Be honest. You could say win, loss, draw, whatever. I don't care, but we're putting you on the spot here.
All your money is at stake here, Romina. Put all your money on the table.
Maybe not all your money, but some of your money.
And some of my money. Okay, I'm gonna say versus Chile, 1-0. Gana Paraguay. 1-0.
Okay. If you want to put a goal score, if you want to put a goal score, go for it as well. Make yourself extra lucky. Who do you
And
think is
I
going to score?
think Alan Barreiro is gonna score.
Okay.
1-0. And Colombia, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna say 2-1. Pierde Paraguay. Oh! You know what? I'm gonna play it safe. So if it happens, I'm gonna say, okay, it's not that crazy. But if it doesn't, I'm gonna say, oh, I was the Mufa, But
All right.
yeah.
That means we're putting you right on the spot here if it goes wrong. So they put you on there. So it'll go well if it goes well. If it goes bad, all direct onto you. I'm joking.
I'm sorry, but all of you have to say it as well.
No, we
We're
wait.
all going down.
No, we have our own shows to do that for now, right, guys? We're waiting. No, we have our own shows. Next week we will do that. No, we
So
always
rude.
are like that. Hey, we put you on the spot here. That it's our show, our rules.
I really do feel attacked. I'm gonna cancel you guys. I'm gonna post.
Oh no, you can't cancel us. Romina, thank you so much. I guess the last thing before we let you go, where can everyone find your work? Where can people follow you? Go right now, gas you up, put all the big flexes that you can have. Go for it. The floor is yours.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Romina Mendoza Murto, and Twitter. I mean, no, it's X now, right? X.
say whatever at this point. I still say Twitter, so just go for it.
No, you know what? Forget about X. No, I don't like X.
I
I'm
like it
gonna
better.
change my answer. Just Instagram. Romina Mendoza Murto. You can watch me on Hen. Woo, you can
Watch
just.
on Hen, guys. This is we're not paid by Hen, by the way. This is not we're not a paid
No, yeah, this is
so
not.
but no, thank you again, Romina, for doing this, and thank you to Fede and Maria as my co-host for this wonderful interview. It was really well done. So obviously, to close it out here for myself, Roberto Rojas, Fede Perez, and Maria Britos, thank you so much for listening to this great interview with Romina Mendoza Murto. See you soon.